Good morning, and we are live. Hopefully, we are live with volume. It looks like we're live. So it's been a while since we've been live on our page, hasn't it? Let's see if we can bring it up on the iPad so we can see when people are joining. So it's been a while since we've been live on Facebook, so we thought we would do one this week while it's crazy January and we are full of self-assessments and tax returns. Except that, of course, it's just really, really busy. So we've got loads to do, loads of things to focus on this year, and loads of things that should be happening for us in our business. But we're too busy focusing in the business and not on the business to look at our growth to six figures. So what we wanted to talk today about was an email I received this week. So it was, I get a lot of emails that often promise, six-figure incomes, six-figure memberships, six-figure this, that, and the other. And the challenge is always, I read it, it's really interesting, I close it, and then I go away and I just get on with my day. And this particular email was from Shah Wasmond, who's my business coach and my friend. And she sent this email out day before yesterday, and I went back to it and I opened it again and I reread it, and then I thought about some of the things that she was saying and what she was recommending you do in your business to take action to get to six figures. So I thought about that, and then I shared it with Harry, and Harry and I talked about it, and Tom, and I wanted to talk today about that and the 6 steps that Shah recommends to grow your business to six figures. But for us, I did wonder, what does six figures mean? Now, we're a 6-figure turnover business already. So the challenge for us is to, whether we want to make it to 6-figure profits, and the small business owner has the same thing. They want to get to a 6-figure profit. They want to get to a 6-figure take-home pay. And that is 3 very different levels of 6-figure numbers. So all of these emails in my inboxes that are talking about 6-figure launches, 6-figure webinars, 6-figure incomes, do they really mean turnover, or do they mean profit, or do they mean pay in your pocket? Well, it's not really clear, is it?
It's a little bit subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the 6 figures is this the figure for the catchphrase for 2020. I think it's what I'm seeing in a lot of emails and a lot of things, and everybody's just starting to sort of really mesh into the same sort of thing, and they're all starting to blur together. So anyway, I thought we'd talk through these things. So there are 6 things that Shah is suggesting that we should be doing. 6 tips to get to 6 figures quicker. And number 1 is to get really, really specific about your offering. Do one thing really, really well rather than get distracted. And I agree with that. That's something that we try to do.
Completely agree with that.
Yeah.
The amount of times you see a client that's just spreading themselves too thin. And the reality of the situation is you have a superpower. You're talented, especially in one particular area, and just stick to it. Really get it nailed. Find your niche.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
absolutely.
you can end up being the jack of all trades and the master of none, and it's just not worth it. And actually, you end up making yourself miss your goal of the 6 figures.
Yeah.
So don't spread yourself too thin, and really do focus about what you're actually offering.
Yeah, and we have had a couple of clients who did that last year. So we had a couple of clients. So one client went away to another accountant and then came back to us. And when they came back, their revenues had taken a real nosedive. And it is because they had sort of spread themselves too thin. They were working on a vanity project that wasn't really focused on their target market, didn't generate any income. So their profits dived. And of course, one of them, they really struggled as a business to pay both their wages. So one of the partners then had to go and get a job, which actually she's really loving, but that's not what we want when we go into the world of entrepreneurship, is it? We want to be self-sufficient, working for ourselves, running our own days and our hours and all that kind of stuff. But interestingly, we had another client who diversified into all sorts of different products. And I said to him about, probably about this time last year, what you really need to do is just focus on the one thing, and you need to generate another 10k of income on your bottom line. Work out what it is that you do best and do that. So they had a dwindle in P&L, their profits were falling. It was a gradual process, so they'd kind of got themselves focused on developing all these new products and these new services, but weren't really focusing on what they do best. So they started to fall in income, fall in profits, their director's loan account started to escalate, and it all got really a bit uncomfortable towards their end of year last year. So we said, right, that's it. What I need from you is to bring another 10k into your bottom line. Don't care what happens in the middle, whether you do it by increasing your revenue or by cutting costs or a bit of both. What you need is another 10k on your bottom line. And that's what they did. They worked solidly on that for 3 or 4 months, changed the way they ran the business, and they brought 10k down into the bottom line. So we're now heading towards another year end where I expect will have paid off their director's loan account and they'll be back into fairly substantial profits, which is really great, and that's where we want to be. So number one is to get really specific about your offering. Do the one thing really, really well rather than get distracted. So focus on that. Are you doing that in your business?
Tip number 2 is go all out on audience building. So this is one of the ones. Basically, show up on a consistent basis, even if you really just don't feel like it. So it's about talking to your list, emails, Facebook Lives, Instagram stories, blog posts, whatever you do. Wherever your audience is where you need to be. But you've just got to make sure you actually turn up. So you can't build an audience if you're simply not there, because then there's no engagement. So you've got to work out what they want to know and talk about those issues. So really target your audience, go all out in it, and ask yourself questions such as, I don't know, what would my ideal client Google, and what would they be into? And perhaps they'd be interested in events or conferences. Maybe they're in a networking space. So it's about trying to identify where to contact them, and of course telling stories. You want to tell stories that they actually engage with. Otherwise, it's just not going to actually get any traction. So really, really important one on that.
Yeah, one of the things that you hear when you start looking at marketing and how to market your business is that you have to touch somebody 10 times or 7 times in your marketing cycle. The number depends on, who you're reading and what you're listening to. But you have to touch people multiple times before you really start to resonate with them, before you go from being a stranger to being a friend or to become someone that they trust. So if you look at what's in your inbox and you look at, the people that you see showing up on Facebook or on Instagram or on YouTube, whatever your preferred way of consuming content is, they only got there and they got into your radar because those people are doing something that you might not be doing yourself. So think about how people are getting on your radar and how you want to get yourself onto your customers' radar. So where are they? What are they doing? It's one of the reasons why we do these Facebook Lives. I mean, we're in January and things are a bit busy at the moment with self-assessments. We've got people who, we've been trying to get data from for months and months and months. And we've literally just got 6 working days left now, plus what's left of today to get
January
these things done. It's January season, it's just crazy. So, January is often that season where people are miserable and depressed, aren't they? Whereas we're running around like sort of headless chickens, it feels sometimes. I mean, to be fair, I think we've got the vast majority of ours over that deadline now, and it's just a couple of people going. But the last thing we really have time to be doing at the moment is marketing. But it's the first thing we should be doing to make sure we've got lots of things ready and in the pipeline to happen in February. So we've got lots to talk about and lots of the actions going on. So January for us, not only being crazy tax season, is also time to plan season. So it's time to be getting all your ducks in order. It's time to be thinking about what you're going to do to grow this year. So setting your targets, and that moves us quite nicely onto point number 3. So I'm going to skip a point here because I want to talk about that one next. So we've got one big challenge is to manage your money. We need to understand where we are now and where we're going, and we're going to skip forward to the end of 2020. What do you want to achieve at the end of this year? How are you going to get there? So you need to manage your money. You need to set your targets. You need to know how many units of your products and services and memberships you need to sell each month. So this was Shah's 4th point. She reckoned that we need to think about making sure we're not just focused on making your money, but keeping your money and keeping those costs down, which I absolutely agree with. And that's the fundamental process that it's the message, the process, it's the thing that we deliver on a day-by-day basis, is understanding where your numbers are. So know your numbers, know what customers, what services, what products are making a profit, and know, most importantly, which ones are making a loss. Do you need to convert them to a profitable product or service, or do you need to get rid of them altogether if they're just not working for you?
Now, as mentioned, this was Char's point number 4, but we've moved it to point number 3. And actually, I think it's really important, because the reality is you might be seeking 6 figures, and it might be actually it's sitting right there if you know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And the reality is you might just be trading in the wrong aspect of your business. You might be selling too many of this product or too much of that service, when actually you've got other services which are more profitable, or you're just being inefficient about it. So I actually think that one's potentially, well, it's got potential to be more of a quick win, because there could be more hidden there that you just don't understand.
Yeah. And we find this with a lot of people, don't we? Is there's a lot of profit in their business that's hidden or it's untapped. And so you don't need to be going out there and creating something brand new, because a lot of it is just about remanaging or rethinking what you're doing already and then looking at that in a different way. So one of the most important figures that you need to know in your business is your break-even point. How much do you need to earn just to keep the lights on in your business, to pay your wages, to pay your staff wages, to keep the business premises open, or your mortgage paid, depending on whether you're working from home or whether you have an office? And we have a product called Profit Hackers. Our membership club is all about that, and I'll put a link down to that in after this live. So if you want to get more focused on your numbers, and if you want to learn more about how you do that, then join Profit Hackers, and we'll start that process off in February. Now, going back to point 3, it's really important to understand, to manage your money, set your targets. But how do you get there? Char's point 3 was, don't be afraid to put your offer out there. And that's really, really key. Don't be afraid to put your offer out there and ask for the sale. So many times we see people creating Facebook groups, doing their marketing, but there's no call to action. There's no conversion. There's no compelling offer at the end. So you're giving and giving and giving and giving and giving all of the way this free content and all of this free information, but never asking for the sale. So try and get into the habit of give, ask. Give, ask. So for us, we like to give. We're trying to change the structure a little. So we're going to give on a Monday to Thursday, and have Friday be our webinar and our sales day. Now, whether that works or not, we're not entirely sure yet. We're going to put that into practice in January. But the point is, we've thought about it, and we've got a model that we're going to start putting into practice for this year, and this is how we plan to achieve our revenue targets for 2020. So we have quite an aggressive revenue target. So the question is, what have you set in your business, and how are you going to do that? So it's all very well saying, I want to create this product, that product, and the other product, but how are you actually going to get people to buy them? How are you going to make the sale and close that sale? So you need to think about that too.
Now, the last 2 points Char mentioned was actually focused on, if you're there already in terms of you have a business where, you're mostly there, you just want to scale, then actually these 2 points are focused on that. So the first one she mentioned was, look at a new audience and develop a new strategy to tackle that new audience. So basically, look at what's working and double down, but it's also a good time to add a new strategy. So you could start Instagram stories, you can start maybe an Instagram TV group, or maybe this is the year to actually launch your podcast, YouTube channels, etc. Basically, whatever it is, if you want to scale, you need to scale your audience.
So you need to get seen by more people, which comes back again to having your, you might have your superpower, but if people don't know about it, it's like having a shop and having the doors closed. So we need to get out there, and we need to sort of tout ourselves out a little bit, pimp yourself out a little bit if you need to. However you feel about putting yourself out in front of people, if people don't know about you or your service or your product, they just won't buy. And it might not be that they're not the right customer. They might be the perfect customer for you. But if they don't know about you, then they'll go somewhere else.
Now, as a point I'd like to emphasise on that as well, we mentioned at the start, obviously, don't spread yourself too thin. We're not necessarily talking about developing a new product or service. We're just talking about redirecting it to a new audience. So that's one way to look at it.
And getting it in front of new people.
Exactly.
And one of the challenges for that is always going to be finding the time to do that. And we are absolute classic procrastinators, for the want of a better word, in that example, in that area. So we have a fairly busy business and we've got a lot going on during the day. If we set all of our objectives and did all of our marketing at the end of the day, it would just never get done, because we just get too busy. We get caught up in customer calls, we get caught up in customer visits, we've got phone calls, Skype calls, all these things going on all the day. And if we don't focus on getting this stuff done that's most important for our business first thing in the day, it just doesn't get done, which is why you'll see a lot of our content come out first thing in the morning, or our lives and things will always be about 10 o'clock. If we don't do them by 10 o'clock, which is our first task when Harry and Tom get in the morning, they just won't get done. So we planned yesterday, didn't we, to get to go live at 10 a.m. And then I had calls from about 10:30 onwards. So by 10 o'clock, if we haven't done that, I had to change my mind and focus on the client stuff, because I'd run out of time to do the business stuff. So put time in your diary to get this done. Don't just think, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll start it on Monday. Do it today and do it first thing in the morning. Make sure you prioritise your day so that you focus on building your business and building your audience first thing in the morning before you start delivering to your customers and clients. And if that means you have to get up an hour earlier out of bed, then just do it. Better that you get up an hour earlier from your bed and then invest that time in growing your business, because at least it gets that done. And you get one of those big scary tasks done and out of the way first thing in the morning. It makes you feel great and empowered and super productive for the rest of the day. So just do it and get out there.
And finally, point number 6, which is obviously the second part of if you're there and looking to scale, is about actually scaling your offering.
Indeed.
So are you still doing, say, one-to-one training, or maybe you're doing group programs, and actually maybe now's the time to start developing these and start adding, I don't know, perhaps online content or membership, or maybe you can do more one-to-many rather than one-to-one. And what you might actually find is it's more efficient to get, rather than getting one person paying you £100, it might be more efficient to get 20 people paying you £10. So all of a sudden, same content, same amount of hours, more potential for cash and more potential for profit. So think of it basically like Lego. Base it on your foundations first, and when you're in place, start adding the building blocks and just make sure that they stick.
Yeah, so those were Shah's 6 points for 6 tips to get to 6 figures. And I think one of the reasons they resonated with me is because these are the kind of things that I'm doing every day, but I'm only doing them every day because I'm in Shah's world. I'm in her audience. I follow her on Instagram and I'm in her Facebook groups, which is exactly, she's doing exactly what she preaches. Now, if it works for her, and she's obviously several steps above you and us, it works for her, then it can work for the rest of us. But she's doing exactly what she says she's going to do. And we're trying to do that. So we're in the early stages of getting that done, and our business is growing and our groups are growing and we're getting to where we want to be. So we want to be the sort of example to you to show you that actually, if we as accountants can do this, then you can do this. It's a lot of effort. It's a restructure of your day. It's a rethink of the way that you manage your business. But if you're in a service-based business and you're only going to be selling, an hour for a particular rate, say you're selling an hour for £25 or £100 or whatever, if you want to get to a 6-figure income, or if you even want to get to a 5-figure income, if you're not at 6 figures yet, if you want to start scaling your business, you have to start thinking about how to change the way you're getting out there to people. And you can't fit 100 customers in a day. How are you going to fit 100 customers in a day in a different way of delivering your superpower? So have a think about that. So if you want to learn more about this is exactly what we're talking about in our free Facebook group, the Bloody Brilliant Business Club. I'll put a link below this post once we've finished. So do come and join us in the Bloody Brilliant Business Club. So you see there, I've got my call to action. We've delivered some content. We've taught you some valuable points here. We've shared our knowledge and our experiences with you. So now our call to action is to ask you to come and join our Bloody Brilliant Business Club. And of course, another call to action, if you enjoyed this or you think you know other people who want to grow their businesses and scale their businesses, share this post with them, share the video, and invite them to join us in Bloody Brilliant Business Club. So let's grow our businesses together and let's push on through 2020. We're right at the beginning. Let's make this a really, really fantastic and exciting year for all of us. So we'll see you in the Bloody Brilliant Business Club. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye.